I want to say good morning. This is my opportunity to welcome everyone here. Give yourselves a round of applause for coming to our annual College Day. My name is Mandy Donaldson. I'm one of the 4 college and academic counselors here. As you can see, I'm pretty tall, so I'm leaning into this mic. So I'm the team leader in the office. But before we get started, we have one of our college and academic counselors, Ms. Molenhouse, who's coordinating College Day today. So I want you to give her a round of applause. Kara Molenhouse is put together a great program for you. So she's running around doing a lot of things, wearing multiple hats. And she also has some logistical things to go over before we get started. So I'm going to ask her to come up.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. So I just wanted to share a few logistics before we introduce our amazing speakers that we have this year from UIC. So one thing I do want to share, for the first time in IMSA history, we had more IMSA students apply to UIC than U of I. This was the senior class this year. So they're clearly a very important school to us. So kudos to that. So before we get to hear them speak, I wanted to just share a few things. As you know, we're having the keynote address now. Straight after this, you should be heading down to the gym where we have 55 colleges visiting. Most of you have registered for StriveScan, or at least the students have. StriveScan is an app that allows a student to go up and talk to the rep, but rather than filling out a card with their information, they have a barcode now that would have come on their text. They can just give the barcode, colleges will scan it, and now they have information about that student. Not every college has StriveScan, so there may be some that if the student stops at the table, make sure they fill out a card so that the college has them in their database. In addition to that, after the fair, we are going to have 5 now presentations from individual colleges. Actually, we just found out Johns Hopkins wants to do a presentation, so it is not on your schedule. I don't even have a room yet for them, so we will try to announce what that is going to look like. But Johns Hopkins will also be presenting in addition to UIC, U of I, Case Western, and WashU. More information to come on that. And then the other thing that's really important that we need to happen is, because we get a lot of students going to the U of I session, we would like to try and divide it a little bit. So we want, if your last name begins with A through L, if you're planning to go to U of I, we'd like you to go to session 1. If your last name is M through Z, please go to U of I's session 2, because there's 2 sessions. That will help make the rooms a little more manageable in terms of how many are in the room. So if you could make sure you do that as well. The last thing, sorry, there was something else. Forgetting what it was. Oh, really, really important. So in addition to the 5 schools now, rather than 4, we also have 2 panels. So we have an international school panel that has come. There's 3 colleges on that. That is Minerva University. If you haven't heard of them, we have IMSA students there. You spend a semester in a different country and city throughout your whole time at the school. So you're in San Francisco, London, China, like all varying places. So that's a really cool thing if you love that international piece. Duke Kunshan, China, is also here, and they are Duke University in China. And then we have the American College of Greece. Also, we have a small college panel. I went to a small school. I'm a big proponent of small schools. Please give them some love. We don't get as great of a turnout, but you can divide and conquer. Parents could go to small school, student goes to bigger. We have some amazing schools on there, including Harvey Mudd in California, very selective school, Kettering, which allows students to get co-op experience. So there's some great schools on the small college as well. Last, PAC, Parent Association, just announced that they wanted to welcome parents who want to come to their PAC meeting today at 1 o'clock. They have an alumni panel, and it starts at 1, and there will be refreshments. So we'll fill you in a little more on Johns Hopkins at the end, but we would like to I'm going to have Mr. Donaldson talk up again and introduce the speakers.
All righty, thank you. Once again, I just want to thank the team from our office. We're a 7-person team. We have 4 academic, college and academic counselors. Mrs. Olmos is in the back. Can you raise your hand? Standing right by the door. You just met Mrs. Molenhouse. Mr. Tobler is another college and academic counselor. He was at the table right by registration doing StriveScan. And myself, but also we have our registrar, Mr. Abraham, and if you're down by the gym, the person responsible and coordinating our student volunteers and our hospitality is Mrs. Golson, and then we're all under the leadership, our supervisor in the College and Academic Counseling Office, the Dean of Support and Equity, Dean Dr. Anita White. So just wanted you to know the team in the office, and we're here to support you. So without further ado, I have two gentlemen are here today, and something interesting about us, one of the data points Mrs. Molenhouse just mentioned was we had more of our seniors this year applied to UIC, and it was like, whoa, that was a change. So we're just excited that we have both of these gentlemen here. So we have two speakers. They'll both have an opportunity to speak, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. So let me introduce Mr. Rob Dixon, and this is pretty much a welcome back to Mr. Dixon. Mr. Dixon has history here at the Academy, so I'll tell you about that in a second. He is the interim vice chancellor and vice provost for student affairs at UIC. In this role, he is over our enrollment management, in addition to the dean of students, student health, wellness, the campus auxiliary services, student engagement, facility services, advising development, student success, belonging, and the university registrar. And as I mentioned before, he'll talk more about it. His bio is in there, but he is returning back to IMSA. He is one of those people who's responsible for bringing students to IMSA. He'll give you the dates. I won't give you that. But without further ado, and he'll introduce the next speaker after him will be Mr. Ralph Keene. But without further ado, put your hands together for Mr. Rob Dixon.
Thank you, Manuel, for that kind introduction. Very excited to be here today, and also very pleased to hear that there's many UIC students interested in UIC. It's an exciting time. As Manuel mentioned, I've served in a variety of roles at UIC, serving as registrar for many years and overseeing the enrollment management enterprise, and now overseeing those services that are in place for students once they're enrolled at UIC. And as Manuel alluded to, I started my professional journey at IMSA. Shortly out of college, I worked here as an admissions representative and traveled the state. I'm curious if every corner of Illinois and in Chicago and public libraries and universities around the state, Carlinville, Mount Vernon, how many people here who had attended information sessions? I wonder if IMSA still conducts those. They're probably more Zoom or online now. Are you still doing information sessions, Manuel? Yeah. And so now I see myself in a little bit of a reverse role. I'm coming from UIC to talk to people at IMSA about a different institution. And just by a show of hands, I'm curious, how many people here have been on the UIC campus? Okay, so a good number of people have been on campus. Many people have traveled nearby our campus because two of the busiest arteries in the state are very proximate to our school. But it's great to see that many people have been on campus because it's an exciting time in the way that the campus is changing. We've added a new residence and academic building called the Academic and Residential Complex, which you may see from the 290 as you drive into the city. And that combines housing, about 550 beds of housing, with classrooms within that building. And just to provide a setting of what UIC is like, we have slightly over 22,000 undergraduate students and a total of 34,000 students and a huge range of academic offerings in the graduate level and professional health sciences. But as we look at the undergraduate experience in particular, it's principally located sort of on the east side of our campus. And it's a very walkable space. Our classroom buildings are clustered in a very logical manner that allows for easy walkability between classrooms. Our main Student Center East, is situated at Harrison and Halsted Street. And that's kind of a hub for student activity which is immediately proximate to the whole academic quad. So if you haven't had a chance to get on campus and walk and kind of see the green space that we have and the welcoming environment there, I encourage you to do so. There's various opportunities to visit campus. We have a primary open house in the fall. It's usually in mid-October on a Saturday, in which all of our colleges are represented, as well as student organizations and academic research and support programs. That is a primary opportunity to really get a feel for campus. But we also host information sessions on a daily basis, followed by a campus tour. And we typically have those in the morning and an afternoon, 5 days a week. And you can easily register for those online. So I encourage you to check that out. I also wanted to comment that, although I'm on stage today in my role as a vice chancellor at UIC, I'm also a parent, and I understand the anxiety and the excitement that comes with the college search process. And I want you to know that UIC can be a resource for you as you're navigating those paths. This particular year has been superbly challenging with the FAFSA simplification process. I don't know if people have students who are entering college this fall. My belief is that many of you may be entering in the fall of 2025. But this fall has been challenging and things have been delayed. UIC has taken steps to allow more time for families to consider the options presented by financial aid and moved our decision deadline back. We were one of the first universities in the country to do that, recognizing that this was going to be an extremely challenging situation for families. But we also serve as a resource whether someone's attending UIC or may seek to attend another school. We'll definitely go through financial aid packages and help people understand the components. Even if they're not planning to attend UIC, we're happy to provide that service to families. I also wanted to talk about UIC kind of writ large, in terms of the growth we've seen in enrollment and in different programs. It is an exciting time. We are the only public research university in Chicago. And this past year, our faculty members secured over $500 million in annual sponsored research. And this allows many of our students to participate in really life-giving research opportunities. Mentored undergraduate research programs are just one of the many high-impact experiences that we offer at UIC. And Impact Day is an important part of our undergraduate experience, where students provide details of their research and professional interests, whether internships or other types of activities. In our College of Engineering, which just had its expo yesterday, I popped in, and I mean, some of the research that students are doing is pretty, I mean, I was really amazed. I have an interest in solar power and have explored that and my personal experience. And what struck me was the students who approached the need for a portable ice cube maker, sort of an ice maker that they developed with one small solar panel for under $200. They had a solar panel inverter and were able to create ice cubes, 10 ice cubes an hour with solar power. And this whole operation was less than $200. And the program that they'd done was over the spring semester. And just the teamwork, these kinds of opportunities to work, whether it's in the Society of Automotive Engineers or other programs within the College of Engineering, are really fun aspects, and students have really used that to great effect. Now, I wanted to also mention that if you happen to be the first person in your family to be attending college, UIC could be a place for you. At present, we have over 30% of our students are the first persons in their college to attend university. And we support these students with very deliberate programs and mentorship, guidance to ensure a successful on-time graduation. And that's something that UIC has been noted for in successfully supporting students. I'm proud, too, that UIC is a place that embraces diversity, inclusion, and belonging for everyone. We are a federally designated minority serving institution. We also are a Hispanic serving and an Asian American and Native American Pacific Islander serving institution, and a #1 educator of Hispanic American doctors, and a #4 educator of African American doctors in the continental United States. And that's a huge achievement. We're situated within a large medical district to the west of our campus, encompassing University of Illinois Hospital, Rush Hospital, and Stroger Hospital. So there's a real center of health sciences and applied knowledge. We're also a 7-time recipient of the Higher Education and Excellence Diversity Award, which is a national honor that recognizes colleges and universities that demonstrate an outstanding commitment to diversity and inclusion. Suffice it to say that diversity, inclusion, and belonging are a part of our DNA. And you'll see it and experience it amongst our student body and world-class faculty across all 16 of our academic colleges. So, I've been talking a little bit about our academic strengths and sort of the physical nature, characteristics of the school, but college is also about having a little fun. And UIC is a place that has over 450 organizations and clubs. You can learn about them at our open houses and in involvement fairs in the first semester when students enroll. To give you an idea, to name a few of these for sports clubs, we have a very popular men and women's rugby that competes with other universities, a student-run club, as well as ultimate frisbee, volleyball. Cricket is particularly popular. And I mentioned the different academic clubs that are associated in the college, like accounting club, the finance students, the Society of Automotive Engineers, Women in Science and Engineering. There's any number of clubs that really you can find your people and express yourself. And we're very open to forming new clubs. New clubs are forming every year, so that if there's an interest that's not represented, you certainly can make it happen. Another notable aspect of UIC is our commitment to social good. We genuinely care about the success of our students as well as the communities we serve in and around Chicago. Our values are shared widely and held deeply by our faculty, staff, and students. And if you're passionate about major issues that face our nation and world, you're coming to the right place. We have a day of service in which students work in community gardens, hospitals, religious organizations that support families in the area. And our turnout was pretty historic this year. We had over 35 student organizations participate, had close to 400 students, and it was a wonderful day. In general, our faculty and staff want to move the needle on big ideas across sweeping topics that include climate change, global sustainability, the resilience of our democracy and social justice, and access to better health care for everyone. You'll have many opportunities to give back through community service, and you'll find engaged champions and global citizens that are keen to make a positive impact on issues that affect our communities, our nation, and indeed the world. At UIC, you'll be surrounded by people who want to improve the quality of life for everyone, and especially vulnerable communities and marginalized populations. I think that's a current that runs through all of our programs at UIC. And you'll be forging knowledge and areas of study or future work for people that we don't even understand right now. Having worked here at IMSA, I was here from about 1990 to 94, recruiting students and supporting them while they were enrolled. That was a real time of incredible growth. That was the first, just to give you a little story about the old IMSA days. This was really prior to the World Wide Web. And there were students studying here who were incredibly inventive and creative and motivated. And they were speaking with some staff, a colleague of mine, about an idea they had to bring pictures how it was described to me, there was something called internet relay chat, which was kind of a precursor to email as we know it. And a student had said, we have a means to bring pictures to internet relay chat. And I was like, that seems interesting. You mean like at Christmas time when you get a picture of like, Santa with, hashtags and asterisks and dashes? I go, I don't think that's really going to take off. It's not that interesting. And what they were alluding to really was initially Mosaic as a web browser, which later became Netscape. And this was just amazing. This was revolutionary. Graduates who were studying there at IMSA at that time went on to develop YouTube and were instrumental in PayPal, as well as some of the dating apps, I think, that have been huge. And I, at that time, could not envision, I could not envision any of that. It was beyond my comprehension. And I think that is sort of the framework that you could find at UIC with dedicated faculty, research opportunities. I'm sure that level of creativity exists here today at IMSA, and I'm excited to see what these future graduates may bring to UIC. So I appreciate the opportunity to be here today. I also wanted to call to the stage my colleague, Ralph Keene, who is our Dean of UIC Honors College, and can explain a little bit of the perspective he has as a professor and his role in the Honors College at UIC. Mr. Keene?
Good morning. Is everybody in a good mood? Yes? Eager? Looking forward to learning a whole lot about your choices and options and possibilities as you start or continue to consider college. It's a real pleasure to be here, and I want to thank my colleague, Vice Chancellor, Associate Vice Chancellor, Vice Provost, and a half dozen other things, Dixon, as well as Mr. Donaldson and the rest of the advising staff here at IMSA. As Rob just said, I'm a professor of history, and I'm also in the Honors College, which means that I also teach in the Honors College. So I want to give you a little bit of a faculty perspective, which is closer, I think closer to the ground because it's the perspective from within the classroom at UIC. I can't, you've already heard a lot about UIC, both in general and specific terms, but if I were to describe it, it would sound like any other large university with all of its colleges and units. And I'm not sure that would satisfy your curiosity if you want to hear from a professor and somebody who works in the Honors College. Now, I admit that my impression is going to be a subjective one, and it's one that I've heard over and over from people who've been at UIC longer than I have, or who've been at UIC in different roles from mine. I arrived in 2010 as a history professor, and of the 5 universities that I've been associated with, 3 as a student and 2 as a professor, UIC is the one where I have felt most included and welcomed. And that's the vibe that one feels there. And it has to do with, and something that Mr. Dixon already mentioned, the culture of diversity of the place. A lot of people are going to talk about diversity and show you statistics and pie charts and maybe a photo as evidence of it, but that doesn't capture the spirit that makes that kind of variety engaging and stimulating. The culture of diversity, and that's just the term that I use, is marked by the positive acknowledgement that the person next to you has their own story and comes from a background that you might not know much about, and they're not going to be self-conscious about it. It means that you too, in your own uniqueness, aren't a statistic or a curiosity, but a person with your own uniqueness that your peers and professors see as an asset to the community. It's a contribution that you make to the collective. Our diversity isn't by aggregated group, it's by individual. Each student contributing a story, an interest, maybe even a recipe that no other student can. So notice in what I just said, the value of the community is in the spirit of everyone connected with it. Your willingness to share your experiences and to learn from others isn't the product of diversity alone. It's due to a friendliness and a desire to engage that we don't find everywhere. Rightly or not, many students are focused on their own work and plans, and when they join groups, it's according to some common bond or interest. We have those at UIC. We have 400 such at UIC. We also have groups where people come together across majors or languages or backgrounds or any other sort of common interest, and that's part of the inclusive culture that we have. You can be connected to other students who share a common bond or belong to something where differences are celebrated. That's your choice if you come to UIC. So as you just heard a few minutes ago, UIC is a Research One university. It is one of only 4 in Illinois and only about 100 in the US. That means that our peer group as an institution includes the leading universities in the country, and our professors are trained there and work in partnerships with researchers and professors there. So your courses are going to be taught by people whose work is making a difference in the larger world, whether it's in urban policy, medical research, computer engineering, or French literature, or early modern social thought, which is me. These are not teachers working from textbooks unless they wrote them. They're scholars who are generating the material that you're learning about in class. I'm one of those faculty members who really holds that an active researcher is an effective instructor because they bring their enthusiasm with them when they share their work with students. You'll also be taught by instructors who are still building their careers, and that's a good thing too. Researchers who have passion for their subjects and who are embarking on their careers are relatable, and they're building their records in both teaching and scholarship. They enjoy teaching and appreciate the kinds of students that we have here at UIC. Here's a secret. When I started out at UIC, I didn't know about the sort of things that immediately became most meaningful to me. It was only when I started teaching and I saw the range of interests and the serious work ethic of our students that I saw the rare and exciting community that we have. It's not something that you learn about unless you've actually been part of it. It's our mission to provide the best possible education to the people of Illinois. That's true of state universities generally, and our students are here at UIC because of that mission. The mission generates a special kind of energy. Early on in my time at UIC, another professor said that we enjoy our work because we want to be there. At first, I didn't know what that meant. If you're a researcher, well, of course you'll want to be at a place like UIC because it's an R1 research university. What that actually meant was that our students make it a special place to teach. It's not a huge party school, and we don't have football. We do have students, and I'm sorry to disappoint you, but look before you leap. We do have students who are naturally inquisitive, whether it's in class or coming around to office hours to ask a professor about material in class. These are fascinating. Some of my best hours have been during office hours. Interesting students, you know, what's your major? Where did you go to high school? What are your career goals? These are always enjoyable conversations. And I'm not going to name a previous institution where I taught, but I didn't have conversations like that at the other before I came to UIC. It's just there's something, as I said, it's an energy and a spirit that we have. So as you've heard, UIC is a big school, over 30,000 students, yet we are committed to the success of every single one. We do this by making sure that every student has an advisor who gets to know the student and can direct them to resources and services, as well as offer guidance in course selection. It starts with orientation and ends when you graduate. In between, we have freshman advising, first-year classes, drop-in hours, and regular email updates with reminders about deadlines. This is especially true in the Honors College. There are a lot of hoops in higher education, and it's easy to slip up. We're going to make sure that you don't, even though in the end, the responsibility for keeping your education in order is up to you. We have counseling services, an office for international students, job opportunities, and 7 different cultural centers, all of which are there to support you and give you ways to connect with our campus and with each other. We have literally, well, 400, is it 400 plus or just about 400 or the number? 450 student orgs, and something is happening every day, whether it's a cultural or sports event or a lecture or a concert. Everyone deserves to feel that they belong, and these are a few of the ways that UIC makes that possible. Now, as you think about colleges, you know that being part of a smaller school has exactly the advantages of making sure that you matter. My daughter went to a small liberal arts college, and it made a difference. Small classes, advisors in the department, programming that address specific interest groups. In her case, it was geology, field trips. All of that made her feel she belonged, and it really, I mean, that made a difference. She was not anonymous. She was not a number. She wasn't just a seat in a class. She was a real person who mattered to her professors. And maybe I can sum it up this way. Are you going to college or are you part of a college? At UIC, we want you to feel that you belong, that you're actually a part of it rather than just go to it. I want to get to that in a minute when I talk about the Honors College a bit more. Notice also the last part of our name is Chicago, and there is nothing like going to college in a big city. I did, and it was leaving the campus that I remember most fondly, going to bookstores, exploring the city, even without spending money, being close to where news was happening. It gives energy to the college experience. We're a half-hour walk to the Loop and an L ride away from anywhere in Chicago that you want to go. The good and the bad: we are a financial capital, a hotbed of politics where communities of underserved and overserved, and a cultural scene like no other in the country. All of this is yours. Free or discounted tickets and to events, internship opportunities in every field, and just exploring different neighborhoods and the food. Chicago is the best city to go to college, and it can be as much a part of your education as you want. Chicago and beyond. Have you ever thought about studying abroad or a summer internship in a federal agency in DC? One of the benefits of being at UIC is that these opportunities are readily available because we have networks and pipelines for experiences like these. And smaller colleges just don't have that network, that sort of heft. So let me talk about the Honors College, which I am now finishing my 9th year as the Dean of the Honors College, and I have not yet failed to realize, I mean, it's just like for 9 years, I have felt that this is the best job in higher education nationally. This is just the coolest place to be. And after 9 years, I mean, that's a long time as a dean in one office with the say, I love the Honors College. And of course, you're gonna say that I'm biased in claiming that the Honors College is unique, but we actually are. Our students represent every corner of the globe, and they speak about 50 native languages. Linguistically and otherwise, we are the most diverse honors population in our peer group. At UIC, generally about 100 native languages are spoken, which is probably unique in the world. Academically too, artists and sociologists, pre-law and pre-med, students who want to teach history, and others who expect to make breakthroughs in healthcare. They're all part of the Honors College, and everyone receives our full support because our priority is, as I said earlier, the success of every student. We understand that success comprehensively. It means academic success, of course, but we know that that's not possible without general well-being. You're going to do the best at what you enjoy the most, and you need to be in your best form overall for that enjoyment. That well-being contributes to well-roundedness, and that's part of your preparation for a successful life afterwards. How does being in the Honors College add to your overall undergraduate experience? Honors education takes a number of different forms, so it's described in a number of different ways. I'll call it both a dovetailing and an overlay, knowing, of course, that nothing is both a dovetailing and an overlay, but let me explain. It's a dovetailing in the sense that being in the Honors College doesn't require a single credit beyond the standard 120 for a college degree, and it doesn't cost an extra dollar to be part of. There are probably programs in the country that have a whole extra set of required credits, and I know there are honors colleges that charge thousands of dollars for the privilege of belonging. At UIC, you can get an honors education that's woven into, not added onto, your overall undergraduate program. That's the dovetailing part. The overlay part is the active learning that makes honors education different from a distinct form of education. In the Honors College, we don't have lectures, and courses aren't info dumps where you stuff everything into your head until the final exam and then hit the mental delete button. Active learning is you bring your curiosity to the material and exercise it in class discussions. You're actually thinking in class and sharing your thoughts and perspectives. As I mentioned at the beginning, I teach in the Honors College, and my classes in the Honors College have been the best teaching experiences that I've had in a 30-year teaching career, and that includes a year as a visiting professor at Harvard. They're actually thinking in class and sharing your thoughts and perspectives. There is a world of difference between leaving a lecture saying, that's something I didn't know before, and leaving a class thinking, I shared an idea that I never had before. There's likewise a huge difference between hearing about a culture from a professor who's studied it and from a fellow student who lives it. So I could go on about the big picture, but it's the day-to-day, semester-to-semester routine that is probably more informative. And now I'm speaking as a professor within the Honors College. Classes are discussion-based seminars. They don't have more than 24 students, and the courses themselves are their professor's own design, usually interdisciplinary in nature. Viruses in US healthcare policy, race in American fiction and popular media, pop culture in the 60s, with a week in the UK to see where it all started. These are some of the core courses that count toward your general education requirements in the Honors College. In your second and third years, you'll have seminars, which are smaller scale versions of the core courses. I teach one on tolerance and intolerance in Western thought. And activities, which can include work in a lab, a research opportunity with a local nonprofit, or a leadership role on campus. We really believe in civic engagement, and we want you to know about those opportunities. During this time, you might get started on your senior research project, which we call the capstone, which you work on during the senior year and present publicly, usually as a poster in an exhibit. By this time, you'll have been matched with a faculty fellow who guides you along the way and is available to write recommendation letters. I am a faculty fellow for an honors college student who is an IMSA graduate. And I mean, we meet on a regular basis and I'm supervising her capstone. Graduating from the Honors College requires 18 credits divided roughly into thirds: core courses, seminars and activities, and the capstone research project. During this time, you'll have an honors advisor, a faculty fellow, and a community to encourage and support you. Those are the nuts and bolts. Graduating from the Honors College means you've been taught by active researchers and been part of a community of high-achieving students like yourselves who like being challenged and who enjoy each other's company. It means you've had access to a research powerhouse and opportunities for study abroad and major national awards, not to mention having all the advantages of Chicago. So finally, you're wondering, is it worth it? That's everyone's question. I know it is, and it's what we in administration call the value proposition. If the it in that question, is it worth it, is a challenging and muscular education with peers who are also at the top of their game, I'd say yes, it's worth it. Every year, about half of our graduates go on immediately to graduate and professional school. A quarter of each graduating class goes on to med school alone. A quarter of, and I mean, they go, our medical school acceptance rate alone is on a par with Berkeley and Cornell. I mean, that's an extraordinary statistic. It's not a public statistic, but I'm sharing that with you for med school admissions. A quarter of every entering class has a place held in one of our professional schools, pharmacy, dentistry, medicine, et cetera, to satisfy the requirements. And if you satisfy the requirements, you're in. Our graduates go on to Penn, Harvard, Stanford, Columbia, and sometimes to European universities with major awards like Fulbright and other scholarships in that national category. There's an intangible benefit also, part of that value proposition that can't be quantified, and that's the benefit of being part of a community. People get to know you, and there's a place to hang out. There are programs as well as opportunities, and you're going to feel connected. Those are the advantages of a small, select college, and we have them in the UIC Honors College. It's not measurable, but it's also priceless because happiness and well-being and success go together. Sometimes people ask me what the Honors College means to me in one word, and I always answer community. Ours is unique, and I think it's an ideal. Thanks.
Alrighty, thank you so much. Give them another round of applause. So look, we're going to open up for a couple of questions to our guests. And one quick update I want to give you before I turn the mic back to them. Johns Hopkins will be an A147. That presentation will be an A147. That Ms. Molenhouse told you they graciously agreed to stay and do a presentation later. So I want you to get familiar with the program. If you look at the schedule for today, after this Q&A, we'll transition to the college fair itself, which will be in the main gym. Before I turn the mic back over, I want to recognize one of our college and academic counselors again. Mrs. Olmos, raise your hand. The reason why I'm doing that again, because she was responsible for getting both of these gentlemen here. So that was an assignment she took on. Every year we have, we bring a college day speaker, and she volunteered to do it. And we want to thank her for just her, her focus and diligence and persistence, but most importantly, just her value in the CAC office. So thank you, Mrs. Olmos, for doing it. So Ralph, I'm going to turn the mic over to you. We'll take a couple of questions. We got 5, 6, 7 minutes or so. And please speak up if you can repeat the questions just in case, everybody.
See if there's any questions about the application process or anything of that nature. Here's a question. So the question was the application to the Honors College separate from the application to the larger school? And UIC makes use of the Common Application. So are people familiar with the Common App? I suppose people at this point, it's the coin of the realm. And within that, there are supplemental materials. So to my understanding, Ralph, that there is a supplement that goes with the Honors College.
Sorry, so when you apply using the Common App, you're going to apply to the degree granting college that you want to be accepted to. So say it's liberal arts and science or engineering or any of the others. And then you also check Honors College and you fill out you include the supplementary material. Once you're accepted to a degree granting college, then we see your application to the Honors College. So it's a two-step process. You can be accepted into UIC's degree granting colleges without necessarily, the one precedes the other. Anything else? Yes. IMSA, I'm going to be subjective and personal and opinionated. IMSA is one of our favorite schools in the Honors College. I am sorry to say it. Okay, when I find out that one of the students in my class is an IMSA graduate, I get like really self-conscious, like, wow, I wouldn't have. So if that sort of answers your question, no, I mean, IMSA, simply because, I mean, let's be honest, you have been prepared with a very rigorous, just entirely intensive, small class, you are well prepared to succeed in the Honors College. Yeah. Yes, please. Yeah, for admission to the, our average incoming class in the Honors College has, I forget what the SAT is, but we're test optional. So it's only students with superior test scores will submit. And I mean, they clear the bar at the 30 ACT and the 13 something or other SAT. A 3.4 unweighted GPA is really sort of that's a threshold. Our incoming classes have a 3.7 unweighted GPA, but yes, we do look at the quality of the school. I went to a magnet school in Philadelphia decades ago, long ago, and it made a difference. Just sort of, We're here for that reason. Mr. Dixon and I are at IMSA for one particular reason. No.
There is a fee for the general application, but not for the Honors College. Okay, the question. Question was whether if the student is admitted to the Honors College, are they locked in for that or are they evaluated every year?
You remain in good standing in the Honors College if you hold the 3.4. You can certainly opt out of the Honors College if you want to do something else, or, I mean, generally people, well over half of the students who come in to the Honors College as freshmen graduate from the Honors College. We have our own internal retention rate. However, when we're talking about retention and graduation rates, students who've been in the Honors College for at least one semester will generally they will generally succeed at much higher rates. The Honors College retention rate is 90, which is sort of a technicality, but it's over 95%. That is to say, students who come back in the second year, our graduation rate is always between 85 and 90% graduating, and that is actually a graduation rate on a par with NYU and Johns Hopkins. I mean, that's an extraordinarily high graduation rate. So the chances of we make good bets when you apply. When we accept you, we're putting on our money on your success, and you pay off 4 years later. Yeah. Sure. Mm-hmm.
So the question was about the students in computer science and engineering often having a heavier workload. There can be 128 credits required for engineering at UIC. So there's additional credit hours. I mean, one thing I'm aware of through our study broad office is that many students at UIC take advantage of our summer term. Summer term is an excellent and really a value proposition to take courses unless you need to decompress over the summer. But that can allow for some freedom to do something like study abroad. When students are pursuing study abroad, it's critical that they speak with their advisor before they go to the particular program they're interested in to see how each of those courses will transfer back to satisfy credits, whether major credits, electives, gen eds. So with that kind of structure and coordination with an advisor, students are able to pursue those opportunities. It may make some subsequent semesters a little heavier with more technical requirements, but it's sort of the give and take that students would have to pursue. And that's my insight into it. I'm not sure the percentages per se that, say, the College of Engineering has in study abroad. But with Honors College, I imagine many.
Sorry, I just stole the microphone from you. I do it with everybody in the Honors College. Yeah, we have high involvement in study abroad, and you see UIC, again, being the kind of university that it is, has partnerships with research labs and initiatives throughout the world. And so if you want to do a study abroad, you could, in fact, as Mr. Dixon said, take advantage of a summer opportunity or a semester opportunity in a global partnership. That is to say, a collaboration, an institutional collaboration with, for example, the University of Thessaloniki in Greece, where we've been building a partnership. So there are ways to do study abroad that still will benefit you in terms of your Honors College work.
You have one more question? Okay. So the question was about our GPPA program, which is the Guaranteed Professional Program Admission, which students at the undergrad level coming in can secure a seat in one of our professional programs, dentistry, medicine, pharmacy. And some of the dynamics with that is those students, and Ralph, you may know better than I, but I believe those are offered at the UIC campus. There's no interchange with Urbana. Urbana would have veterinary medicine, and they do have a College of Medicine there now, but this is exclusively for those that are situated on our Chicago campus.
And the spots reserved are the second half of your question. The spots that are reserved are in our own medical school or dental school or pharmacy school, but you are not bound to, there are other GPPA programs throughout the country. For example, UConn at Storrs, you can be accepted into a similar program, but you are bound to the medical school at the University of Connecticut, whereas here you have access to the medical school. You have a seat reserved for you, but if you want to go to Johns Hopkins, if you want to go to Harvard, if you want to go to, I mean, I had a GPPA student a couple of years ago, right before graduating, came to my office. I have this, Dean Keen, I have this horrible, this huge decision that I have to make. I thought it was a crisis. It's either Columbia or Harvard or Stanford, and I can't decide. And I'm thinking, here I am expecting a life moment. And like I said, this is like those are the three of the best medical schools in the world. And you're telling me it's a hard choice. You can't make a bad decision with those. So about half of our GPPA med students go on to the University of Illinois College of Medicine, which is connected to our campus. It's just 1 mile west. It's the largest medical educational complex in the country. But the other half really do go on to any of the, any other major medical school, including the Langone Medical School at NYU, which is free. And we have a recent graduate who not only is at Langone, but works now in their admissions office and contacted me, can I come visit because we really want to recruit honors college students? I thought, wow, this is, yeah, so I'm sorry, I'm getting enthusiastic. I don't mean to. Can you tell I enjoy this? Yeah, in the back. Sure. I'm sorry.
Question was, I believe the question was, if a student is in this guaranteed professional program admission, could they accelerate? Is it a 7-year experience or could they accelerate? A
lot of it is, yes, we do. And it's not uncommon for students to go through in GPPA Med in particular to graduate in 3 years and spend a year or two getting a master's degree, either in public health or in one of the biological sciences. Every year we have students who go to Oxford for a graduate degree at Oxford before coming back to the US and getting an MD at Yale or something like that. We're always tickled when that happens, but it's, so the only acceleration is in the number of credits that you want to take off of your 130 based on advanced placement credit. If that made any sense. But yeah, we have 3-year graduates in GPPA Med. Are you shutting us up already? But this is not fun.
Listen, the gentleman will be here, so you can come up later, ask questions. They'll be here for a moment or two. We're going to take some pictures with you afterwards, so please stay. With that being said, I gave you the update on Johns Hopkins, so you can transition to the college fair. It's in the gym. We want to thank you very much. Once again, give our speakers from UIC a wonderful round of applause. They did a fabulous job.